When you arrive at the Taffington Boathouse, you have to fight through a swarm of blood bugs. If you come at too low a level, it can actually be a pretty tough fight. The fight continues all the way inside the main house. Wind up the stairs and you have to kill 2 blood bugs that are in the top room. Once you're done, you discover a grisly scene. On the floor by the window is the body of a woman. Her name is Mary Sutton. On her body is some normal loot and also a note named Margaret's Note. This is what it says. Mom, Russell has been gone over a day now and I'm getting worried. We were going to wait to tell you, but we found an old holotape from before the war in the boat shed. It sounded like someone had stashed some chems in the drainage at the end of the canal. Russell thought we might be able to sell them to one of the traders, maybe use the caps to buy another Brahmin. I'm sorry we didn't tell you. We just wanted it to be a surprise, but that's the second one of those bugs we've seen today, and I think something went wrong, so I'm going to have a look for him. Don't worry, I'm just going to take a quick peek, and I'll be back soon. Margie. So, Mary Sutton is dead, but she has a daughter named Margie. Where is she? The house is built atop a canal. If you follow the canal, you'll run into a bunch of blood bugs like the ones you killed earlier. Keep going, take them down one by one until you get to the very end of the canal. You see 2 metal pipes. One of them is grated and the other is open. Hop on down, and the first thing you notice is the body of another woman. You quickly realize that this is the body of Margaret, Mary's daughter. On her body is yet another note, this one from Russell. Here's what it says. Margie, I snuck out last night and had a look at the drainage pipe at the end of the canal. It's cracked, and it looks like if I clear away some of the garbage, I should be able to get in. I think it's the opening they mentioned in that holotape. If we can get those chems, we might be able to buy a new Brahmin. I'm gonna check it out, but I told Mom I was going over to the slog to trade for some tools, so cover for me. I should be back by evening. Russell. This sad, twisted story is starting to become more clear. Now we just have to find Russell, so enter the pipe. Inside the pipe, it's dark. If you turn on your Pip-Boy, you disturb the blood bugs inside. Take them out one by one, but be careful where you step, because the floor is littered with landmines. Once you climb up the side of the chamber, you can walk around the edge, across the pipes, to the other side. You see a few chests, but be careful! There's another landmine. And right next to it, we find the body of Russell. He didn't make it. On his body is the holotape referenced in both of the other notes.
Greetings, brothers! You are here because it is that time of year when we induct our newest members into this most esteemed fraternity. Before their initiation is complete, they must be prepared to receive the mysteries of our order. You can find the substances necessary to open their minds in the drainage, as you all remember from your own initiation. Remember that the pledges should be blindfolded before you bring them up the canal, and keep an eye out for anyone out late in the park. The elders will be by Sunday evening for the dinner, and all new pledges must be present, so stick to the normal dosage. Orto oblitus osa.
In the span of just a few days, the entire family is killed, all because of this holotape. We begin to understand more about Taffington Boathouse. Before the war, it seems like the boathouse served as some sort of fraternity home. The young college kids like to use chems, and they used them as some sort of initiation ritual. But of course they had to hide the chems, and there's no better place than the convenient drainage pipe just behind the boathouse. The Latin at the end, Ordo Obitus Ossa, means Order of the Forgotten Bones. And it has a clear reference to some sort of secret society, much akin to the Skull and Bones Society in our own world. Mary, Russell, and Margaret come upon the Taffington boathouse. Russell finds the holotape inside the boathouse. Somewhere along the way, some blood bugs killed their only remaining Brahmin. You can find the corpse of the Brahmin in the farm just outside the house. Russell gets an idea. He's got to find these chems. If only he can find the chems mentioned in the holotape. He can sell them so that he can buy a new Brahmin. He goes off looking for them, enters the drainage pipe, but is killed when he steps on one of the landmines. A day goes by. The only person who knows that he's gone is his sister Margaret. She can't stand it any longer. She has got to find her brother. She leaves a note for her mother, but she's killed by blood bugs waiting for her outside the drainage pipe. It's quite possible that her brother Russell disturbed their nest. Back home at Taffington Boathouse, Mary sits there, both of her children missing, and waits. And waits. But they don't come. Instead, in the distance, she starts to hear the buzzing of wings, and the buzzing gets louder and louder until through the window come a dozen blood bugs. They surround her and they kill her, and she never knows the fate of her children. What is the deal with this story? It's just so tragic. All this detail, they give it to you, and then, why? Why? There's got to be more. And to find it, we have to go to the Warwick Homestead. The Warwick Homestead is far to the south. You can gain this homestead as a settlement in a number of ways. You can complete some Minutemen Radiant quests, or you can complete a quest from the Institute. The Institute sends you to Warwick Homestead to talk with Roger Warwick, who you come to find out later is actually a synth. The Institute is using the Warwick Homestead as an experiment. They're experimenting with crops, and Roger the synth is in on it. They killed the real Roger Warwick, replaced him with a synth, and the new Roger Warwick is trying to run the experiment for the Institute. When you get there, the synth pretending to be Roger takes you aside. He's got something to say.
Listen, I need your help. The whole operation's in danger of being exposed.
Why? What happened?
I think my foreman, Bill Sutton, suspects what I really am. He's been spying on me and having secret conversations with our farmhand, Cedric. Now, he's starting to work on my wife and kids, trying to turn them against me, too.
They aren't your wife and kids. Don't lose perspective here.
I know that. It's just... It's a habit, I guess. I've gotten used to saying it. Anyway, there's more to it. Cedric's vanished. Bill says he had to visit a sick relative, but I think he went to get help.
Someone must have seen where he went.
I have an idea about that. If Bill's taken June and the kids into his confidence, he might have told them what he's planning. Right now, they're too suspicious to talk to me about it, but they've got no reason to suspect you. Just remember, Bill's got them all pretty scared. It's not going to be easy.
If you talk to Bill, he doesn't really say much. He distrusts newcomers.
You ain't earned my trust, so we got nothing to talk about. Another one of Roger's mysterious friends, huh?
But if you talk with other members of the Warwick family, you realize that Bill does a lot of talking when other people are not around. It seems that Bill is starting to understand the truth. He's starting to see through the deception and see that Roger is indeed a synth. But the man is a little unhinged. He's backbiting. He is talking behind Roger's back, trying to stir up trouble. To finish the quest, you go to Good Neighbor, where you find Cedric. You can get more information out of him, either bribing him or intimidating him, but the end result is that you convince him to no longer work with Bill. Once done, you head back to the Warwick homestead and discover a frightening scene. Bill has snapped. He has Roger Warwick held at gunpoint. Janie, June, and Wally Warwick, the children and wife of Roger Warwick, stand in horror as they watch Bill wield a gun, pointing it at the man of the house. You can either make things worse or resolve things peacefully.
Hey. There's no need for violence here. Let's talk things over.
You're stalling. You're gonna try to talk me down. And then when I'm not expecting it, you'll get the drop on me. Who the hell are you, anyway? I'll tell you who you are. You're one of them! You show up out of nowhere, have your secret chat with Roger, and the next thing I see, you're off looking for Cedric! That's right, I figured it out. I know you're up to something, and I ain't gonna trust a word you say!
Do you really want to leave these children without a father?
Their real father's long gone. And I'm guessing you people had a hand in that. So what do you plan to do, stranger? Are you ready to take a bullet for a synth?
If it means protecting innocent people from a madman, yes.
A madman? Is that what you think I am? I know what I've seen. At least, I think I do. What else could explain it? None of you believe me, do you? Am I really crazy? I don't know. I was so sure about Roger. Jesus, what if I'm wrong? What if I was about to... right in front of June and the kids? I have to leave. I'm sorry. I need to sort things out. I've lost sight of things.
And that's it. He puts his gun away and he leaves. You can find him sitting outside. He's hunched over, lying on the ground, holding his knees between his arms and shaking back and forth.
Hey.
I'm a worthless son of a bitch. That's what I am. How could I be so selfish? I lost sight of the man I should be.
Interesting. It's like the man's entire personality has changed. It sounds almost as if he's talking about something else. Something unrelated to this hostage situation. If you sneak behind him and take a look at his inventory, you discover a letter named Goodbye Letter. Now, you can get this any number of ways. You could kill him and loot it off of his corpse. You could wait for him to die some other way, or you could pickpocket him. However you get it, this is what the note says. Bill, it's over. I mean it this time. You aren't the man I married anymore. That Bill wouldn't have sold our Brahmin for chems. You're a mean, abusive drunk, and we're done. Margie still can't see clearly in her right eye. Just stop and think about that. You may have blinded your own daughter. The kids and I are leaving, and if you even think of coming after us, Russell has already said he'll kill you if he ever sees you again. And I've half a mind to let him. Mary. And with that, the penny drops. The pieces begin to fall into place. Bill is Bill Sutton, husband to Mary Sutton, father of Margaret Sutton and Russell Sutton. The bodies, the corpses at the Taffington Boathouse, are the remains of Bill's family. We begin to understand exactly why Bill was so emotional about the idea of killing Roger in front of his wife and children, because he kind of knows what it's like. How could he kill the father and husband of the Warwick family when he's already removed the father and husband of the Sutton family by his behavior? But the man we see is not quite the man described in the note. We see a frail, broken, scared, paranoid man, a man who's trying to tackle his own inner demons. But the man in the note is a careless man. He's a mean man, a depressed man, a man who doesn't care about his family, a man who will take chems because he wants chems, a man who will beat his daughter because his daughter gets in the way. His daughter angers him. He doesn't care. He cares about himself. But that man is not the man we see. We see a man who's introspective. We see a man who's filled with what looks like remorse. It could be that when his wife and children left him, it shook him out of the little fantasy land that he was in. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the danger of self-pity. We can feel so sorry for ourselves because we don't have the jobs we want, we don't have the girlfriends we want, we don't have the dignity, the notoriety that we want and crave, so we feel bad and we wallow in self-pity. And this self-pity does more harm to the people we love than it does to ourselves. Isn't it ironic that we tend to hurt the people we love more than anyone else? And it's simply because they're convenient, they're close to us. All we have to do is stretch out our hands and we can harm them. It takes a lot more effort to hurt people who are far away from us. And this, I think, can partially explain the way Bill acted the way he did. He was an addict. He was addicted to chems. He was addicted to alcohol. He didn't mean to go out of his way and strike his daughter, to push his family into poverty, to sell their only Brahmin. He did so because he was wallowing in his own self-pity, because he was selfish, because he was only thinking about himself. And then his family leaves, and suddenly he realizes, What have I done? I've pushed them away. He never thought about what he did to his daughter until his wife, his former wife, mentioned it, and then the horror sinks in, the horror that he might have blinded his daughter, the horror that he will never see her again. And so he cleans up his act. I have searched the Warwick homestead from top to bottom. I can't find a single chem. I can't find any beer. You would think that Bill would have a stash of chems near his bed, but he doesn't. He doesn't behave like an addict. Yes, he's paranoid, and that can be explained by the kind of man that Bill is. He pities himself, but he also doesn't want to wrestle with his obvious weaknesses, and so he looks for the weaknesses of others. I mean, yes, I beat my child, but at least I'm not a synth. And yes, my wife and family left me because I'm abusing drugs, but at least I'm not a synth. And so he gets this fixation in his mind, is Roger a synth? He sees that Roger is actually becoming a better man before the synth replaced Roger. Roger Warwick had led that family into poverty. It was something that Bill and Roger had in common. They were bad fathers. They were bad husbands. They were bad leaders. They were selfish. They weren't motivated. They didn't take the reins of life in their hands and move forward. They wallowed in self-pity, but here is Bill, and he sees Roger become a new man, a better husband, a better father. He's becoming a better farmer. His homestead is actually being productive. They no longer live in poverty.
My husband has changed, and it's not a bad thing. He's actually a better man than he used to be. I just don't understand why.
He must be a synth. And of course Bill's right. He is a synth. We find that out due to the Institute quests. But let's put that aside. We're talking about the character of a man who beat his daughter. We're talking about the character of a man whose children and wife left him due to his own habits. But how different is he from the rest of us? How many of us wallow in our own self-pity? How many of us are just poor company because we're always talking about our own hardships, and we're always talking about how our lives are so difficult, and we talk about others as if they don't deserve the things they have, the things that they've worked for, because life just isn't fair. How many of us are like Bill Sutton, only we're not addicted to drugs, and we don't harm those around us yet? It's a sobering thought. It's not a fun thought. It's not something I like to think about. It's not something most of us think about. But stories like Bill's can help remind us, can help center us, can help bring us back down to earth and look at our own personalities, our own character flaws, and try to remedy them so that we don't end up like Bill. This man's self-pity, his selfishness, his greed, and his insecurities led to the death of his entire family. His wife, daughter, and son are all dead because he was so depressed that he did drugs, because he was so selfish that he hit his daughter. What we think are our own decisions to make, what we think affects only us and what is no one else's business, these things that we kind of hoard for ourselves. No, it's my addiction. No, they're my drugs. No, it's my drinking. These things we hoard, they do affect others. Even the smallest decisions that we make can lead to great tragedy, as in Bill's case. My one consolation is that Bill doesn't know. He doesn't know what happened to his wife, his son, and his precious daughter. He doesn't know. In his mind, they're gone. Probably off building a better life than he could have given them. But another part reminds me that this is the Commonwealth. This is the wasteland. And what's going to happen to a single woman and 2 children in a raider-infested, super-mutant-infested, bug-infested wilderness? Maybe that's going through Bill's mind. There are 3 fates, 3 possible fates to Bill Sutton. Fate number 1, you kill him. In the course of the hostage situation, you may fail your charisma checks, in which case Bill is unrelenting, and you are forced to kill him. Fate number 2, you don't kill him. He goes outside the Warwick homestead, he sits down, and a few days will go by, and then he disappears. He just wanders off, does his own thing. Fate number 3 is pretty dark, and it only happens if you don't do the Institute quest. If instead you discover the Warwick homestead because of the Minuteman Radiant quest, and you take over the settlement, and you never join the Institute, and you never do the Institute quests, then Bill Sutton is just another settler in your settlement. And as you grow the settlement and you build, you come back day after day to work on the crops, to build defenses, and one day when you come back you hear a scream and a splash in the water, and you find that Bill Sutton has drowned himself. That is the third way that you can get the note on his body. Aside from killing him, and aside from pickpocketing him, you can wait until he commits suicide and recover the note on his corpse. That tells me that he might know the ultimate fate of his family. At least, he might have guessed what likely happened to them, and that is something he just can't live with. This isn't fun, but I'm thankful that Bethesda has such good writers on their team that they can weave these fictional narratives that hit so close to home, that they can tell us stories that remind us of things we've seen in real life, that they create these characters, even these side characters, whom we empathize with. Characters whom we feel like we can put ourselves in their shoes, where we can understand where they're coming from. That's the hallmark of good storytelling. And you can always learn lessons from good storytelling, ladies and gentlemen. And this is true with the story of Bill Sutton and his tragic family. I walk away from this little side story and I go upstairs and I hug my kids. I can't imagine making the life decisions that Bill Sutton made. And it reminds me not to be selfish and to not wallow in my own self-pity, because self-pity is destructive. If we can walk away with a few pearls of wisdom like that, then it's worth our time. And those are the thoughts I'll leave you with, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this series, please subscribe for more lore, and thank you so much for watching.